Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 5 Minutes in Coffee. Today, I have a very interesting story for you. My daughter, who's 5 years old, was traveling with me to a destination. And before we got there, I gave her her mask and she held it in her hand to put it on once we got out the car. That is the end of the story. Why would I pick such a boring and pretty uneventful story to tell when it's not really interesting? Well, here's the thing. When I gave her that mask, I gave her no explanation. I didn't tell her what it was for or what she had to do with it. I didn't even tell her when she had to put it on. She simply knew that upon exiting the car, she had to put her mask on as a 5 year old. What makes that significant is a year ago, if I had done the same gesture, she would have been confused. She would have wanted to know, why am I giving her this mask? Why does she have to wear it? And we would have to go through this long, drawn out explanation as to why she has to wear this mask. The point of this story is that things change. 1 year ago, life was completely different. You were probably still going to church fellowshipping, you were probably attending large gathering of events, and life was just completely different than it was today. And that's because things change. Nobody's walking around with a Walkman anymore. Nobody's even walking around with an iPod as much anymore. Things have changed significantly. Knowing that things are going to change, my question for you is, are you going to be affected by change or are you going to affect change? Because things change so much and we know that, my question is, do you believe in God enough to make the changes that you desire? Do you believe in God enough to be the change that He desires you to be so that you can be a light? If we are going to make the excuse that we are unable to change, then I would ask you to open your eyes and read a headline. And then, if you could, go back a year from now and read that same headline and look at what's dominating in terms of what's newsworthy. Things change, and we have the ability to change too, especially for the things that are pleasing to God. If you are not willing to be what God asks you to be, what excuse do you have lined up for Him for not doing the things that He has commanded? It is a serious question that we have to ask ourselves. And I'm not saying that you have to go out right away and be the biggest change that you can think of. Start small. Maybe it's give your children and your family 15 more minutes a day. Maybe it's picking one day to where you and your family can eat as a family at the table. Changes don't have to be large. However, we can make changes because things are changing around us all the time, which gives us evidence that we are also capable of change. Do not neglect the power of God. Look at this world today. Think about your childhood. Nothing is the same. Make those changes that you desire, glorify God, and be great. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast, I would ask that you share it with at least one person. I also want to thank you for continuing to support this podcast. It has been very encouraging to me, and I pray that you will continue to walk upright in Christ. This is Jerry with 5 Minutes in Coffee.